This is the Blairing Out with Eric Blair show, and I'm pleased to have Howard Jones, award-winning songwriter and performer, on my show today. How you doing today, Howard?
I'm doing great, Eric.
What age did you decide to pursue music?
Well, I really didn't kind of decide to pursue anything, really. It was from the age of about 2, I used to sing, you know, and then my parents wanted me to play the piano, so I started that, and it was just, I had music already programmed into me, you know, that's what I feel like. There wasn't any kind of conscious decision, it was just that's what I did. I've always been a musician.
Are your parents musicians?
My parents both sing. They're not like kind of formally trained, or they don't play an instrument, but they both sing because they're Welsh. They come from a Welsh background, which is, you know, everybody sings or does poetry or plays an instrument, or, you know, that kind of thing.
How did you acquire your first record deal?
I mean, it took a long time. I was 28 when I finally got signed, and I'd been trying to get a deal since I was 14. I was in my first band when I was 14, and I almost got a deal then, and then I went to music college and studied classical piano, and came back, got a job in a factory, and then came up with this idea to do a one-man electronic setup, you know, which nobody had really ever done before. So I started playing around the pubs and clubs and got, you know, a local following, went up to London, did the clubs, you know, Marquee, and gradually, you know, sent my demos out all the time. I used to work till 4 o'clock in the morning doing that, and everybody said no, you know. I'd like 4 top 10 hits on my demo tape and said, you haven't got any hits here, son, you know, forget it. And then finally one guy got what I was about.
And who was that?
His name was Paul Conroy, who's now the head of Virgin Records in the UK.
And deservedly so, right?
Deservedly so. And he believed in me, and so I got signed to WEA. First record came in at number 3. The album came in at number 1. You know, it was like really in the space of about 3 or 4 months. I was like, nobody wanted to know me at all, and then suddenly, you know, everybody knows who I am. So it was a dramatic change.
So what were some of the highlights during the success of Humans Live?
I think it sold like 250,000 copies in the first week. Wow. in the UK. So it was pretty exciting stuff, but you know, because I'd always dreamt of doing this, and you know, I was on the telly, did Top of the Pops, and you know, I was on the radio all the time. It was great. But of course, then the reality sinks in of what this actually means, and what it means is your freedom gets downsized to about 10%, you know, because you can't go anywhere. You can't go to the pub with your friends because it causes a commotion. You can't go out shopping in your local town because, again, it causes. So you end. You know, it's a double-edged sword, which was the hard bit for me to deal with. The fact that I couldn't be free to go anywhere. How
did you endure? Like your song says, the grass isn't always greener on the other side.
That's right. Well, you know, it's the big lesson that I learned is that, you know, happiness and fulfillment doesn't come from chart positions and record sales or a ton of money coming away. It's just, I've met so many people in the pop world, you know, who have been so successful and are so miserable with it. You know, happiness comes from, you know, feeling good about yourself and what you do, and your attitude to life. And that, I kind of suspected that anyway before I started, but that really confirmed it to me. That whole 5 years of intense being in the spotlight, you know, that really confirmed that.
What inspired you to write the song What Is Love?
What Is Love actually was the lyrics that were co-written with somebody else, but I actually wrote the third verse, which is to me the most important verse, which is, maybe love is letting people be just what they want to be. You know, the door must always be left unlocked. In other words, if you want to really love somebody, you've got to let them really be who they are, and not try and tie them down or put them in a box.
Right on.
So really, you know, that's really, people think that song is a cynical song, but it's not. I mean, asking a question like that isn't cynicism. It's like, okay, well, what is it we actually, you know, what is romantic
It's
love?
very spiritual, I believe.
Well, I think so, yeah. A lot of the songs are meant to provoke thought, you know, about like, well, what is life all about? You know, what are we doing here? What is the purpose of being alive as a human being, and how do we cope with all the things that we're given, to deal with. How do we? And I always try and present like a positive way to look at things, because there's a lot of unhappiness in the world. A lot of unhappiness.
Your songs are very timely today, with all the garbage that's going on in the world.
Well, I always think like there's, music can be a powerfully positive force, or it can be very negative.
Yeah.
And
do you feel there's not a lot of negativity now in the music business?
I think there's the bands that deliberately prey on young men's hormonal state of mind, and they deliberately when you're going through adolescence and early 20s, it's a difficult time. Your brain is like frying with all kinds of thoughts, and if sort of kind of pretty negative things come in at that time, it can really turn a person. It's fairly self-destructive.
Well, I mean, there's been
crazy.
You heard about
the Woodstock thing.
The Woodstock thing, and then also last week there was 2 riots at the Dave Matthews concert. Yeah. Dave Matthews, I mean, come on, it's mellow. How did Colin Thurston become involved in producing new songs?
Well, it's just one of those things, I'd never been in a proper studio before, so I didn't know anything about producers. I didn't even know what they did. so they said, oh, this guy, Colin Thurston, he's produced all these great people, he's worked with Duran Duran, and so I think he'd be good for working with me. So yeah, I mean, of course I said yes, and after a couple of attempts we got that song right, and then I started working with Rupert Hine, for the rest of the album, which was
a genius.
Which was a real major break for me, because Rupert is still a very close friend even now. I mean, I've just seen him when I've been in LA, and we're very close, and we've always stayed as incredibly good friends. So he's produced The Fix and produced most recently Duncan Sheik. And
yeah, I just interviewed Duncan Sheik.
It's incredible.
I heard you co-wrote some songs with him too.
Yeah, we've written a duet. In fact, I was speaking to Duncan this afternoon, and we're planning to record this duet in the beginning of October.
Tell him Eric Blair says hi.
Okay,
that he is a wonderful human being.
He's a great guy.
So when it came to record Dream Into Action, were most of the songs already written, or was there that sophomore pressure to deliver another hit album?
Well, I was in a state of panic after the first album.
Okay.
Because I used up all my good songs on that record, and I was touring all the time, so I never had a break. So I got a studio on the road, and every dressing room, it was set up for me, and I wrote pretty much all of those songs on the road, and then went straight back into the studio to record them. And thankfully, they were pretty good. I mean, it could have worked out that they were all terrible, but I had some good ones in there. So.
But don't you get a feeling when you write a song? Because I've written songs before, and I get a feeling like this is a great song.
Yeah, I think you do. I think you, as you're writing it, you think, no, I think this is a bit special. I got that with No One Is to Blame. That's for sure.
The #1 success of No One Is to Blame.
I always had a feeling that was a big song, and the record company didn't want to release it. And I said, look, this is probably going to be the biggest hit I'm going to have, and we kind of pushed that, you know. And they said, and after it was, like such a massive song, they said, oh, we're just going to listen to you from that one, but not that they did.
So what kind of new life experiences does having a #1 song in the U.S. bring about in your life?
Well, I'll tell you, it's great, because everywhere you go, whether people know Howard Jones or not, they know that song. And so it feels like the song has become part of American culture.
Yeah.
And that is actually a great feeling, because it means that you're kind of part of the general consciousness of America at that point. So a small bit, a tiny bit, but it's good to do that. It's good.
What were some of your favorite moments from your career in the late 80s and early 90s?
I'd always dreamed of playing Madison Square Garden, and I finally got to do that, and I sold that out and did a great concert there. And so that was a kind of major thing. I played Live Aid, that was amazing. Funnily enough, when my deal finished with Warner Brothers Elektra, it seemed like a terrible thing at the time, but actually it's the best thing that ever happened to me, because I suddenly gained my independence and gained complete control over my own destiny. And so from then on, I've gone on to form my own label, and make my own records, produce everything, produce other people, and really be setting my own agenda, you know, and it's been good.
Explain to me, I've heard about this Miles Copeland's Chateau de, how do you say it?
Chateau Marouat.
Okay, in France. And now this is supposed to be a place where songwriters go to learn how to write?
No, the idea is that Miles invites 24 successful songwriters from around the world to go and live in the castle and write in groups of 3 every day.
You co-wrote a song on Bijou Phillips' new album.
Yeah.
I love Bijou.
Yeah,
I just saw her not too long ago. She's a ball of fire.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, and now how did that come about? Through this?
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, you never know who you're going to be writing with the next day.
Yeah.
And I was kind of hoping that I'd get to write with Bijou because she was just wild.
Yeah.
And so what we did is I thought, right, now this woman is so interesting. So I said, why don't you just sit on this sofa here and tell us your life story? Right. And so, because she was feeling a bit jet lagged and stuff. So she was tired. And so I said, right, lay down, tell us your life story. And man, so I was there making notes. And the lines that she was coming up with, just telling about her story, her life story, it's like, this is a song, this is a song, this is a song. And so we used all those lines that she'd said, and then actually put the song together.
So looking back, what do you think of the 80s music scene?
I think it was pretty good. I think it was one of the golden eras of pop music, really. I do think it was a good time. Lots of people trying new things, using new technology, new techniques, experimenting with the way they looked. Video was developing.
Don't you think that there was a lot more magic in what was going on back then than really what's going on today? I mean, there's a lot of good bands, like Garbage is a good band.
Garbage are great, yeah.
For the most part, don't you think there was more of a feeling of freedom in the music?
I think so. But see, I think it's partly to do with the corporatization of music, and now that all the companies are shareholder led. They have to show a profit every 3 months to their shareholders, and it wasn't like that at the beginning of the 80s, because they were independent, much more independent. And people had a sense like, you develop an artist over a long period of time. Yeah. Now it's like, if they haven't got 3 singles on the album, then just get them off the label. It's indicative of the way society is going. See, because if you're a young guy just thinking, well, should I be a pop star now? No. I mean, would you really want to do that? Or would you? I think not. I think they write software. Yeah, I mean, I would do this, regardless of any level of success that I had. I would be playing music somewhere and writing songs somehow. Exactly. I mean, I had, I was very fortunate to have a lot of success in the 80s, but if I hadn't, I'd still be doing it somewhere. Because, that's what I do, and I think we have to, whatever talents we have to use them to contribute to the world that we live in. That's that's what I'm always constantly trying to remind myself. That's what I want to do.
So give me a little background on your new CD, or your latest CD, People.
Yeah. Well, the new album, took a long time to do. There's a lot of care has gone into it. It's a mixture between a lot of live playing and using technology in the studio. It's both, a mixture of both. A lot of it is very, very sort of, it's sort of beautiful. It's meant to be relaxing and calming. It is very calming. I mean, I probably won't, the next album I make won't be like that, but for this one I particularly wanted to do that. So, and I think in the main I achieved that. But now I see albums as like, that's a one step along the way. It's not the last album I'm going to make. No. So there's going to be another one, and it's a continuum now. So I don't, not everything is resting on one piece of work. Yeah. It just becomes a part of it.
Hot CDs that you're listening to right now.
Well, I've been listening to a lot of Middle Eastern music, to be honest. I've been listening to. There's an album I just bought called Morocco, The Crossroads of Time, which is like a selection of Moroccan artists. I've been trying to draw influence from Middle Eastern music. I like Fatboy Slim, but the Madonna is particularly a great piece of work. William Orbit, he's the man at the moment.
Who's your favorite sex symbol?
My favourite sex symbol. Oh man, I do have quite a few. Let me see. I mean, I thought the girl in the new Star Wars movie was absolutely gorgeous. What's her name?
Natalie Portman. Natalie Portman. Yeah, she is stunning.
She's gorgeous.
That's a good one. So what's next for Howard Jones?
I'm doing quite a lot of collaboration. So I'm going to do this duet with Duncan. I've just done a duet with a German singer, where she's singing German.
What's her name?
Her name is Juliana Verding.
Okay.
So she's singing in German, and I'm doing the chorus in English, which is a nice kind of collaboration. I've got my own label. I'm working with young artists to help them to record and get their music out, and to help them do the things they want to do. Lots of touring with my fantastic band and friends. What I'm doing with the band is it's a core of 4 people, but what I've got like add-on sections, like brass section that sometimes come in and play, and then backing vocalists that sometimes come in, and I want to eventually have strings, so it'll be in the end, when I put it all together, it'll be like the big Howard Jones big band, and special gigs when I can afford it, we'll do that.
Hey Howard, it's been great talking to you and interviewing you.
It's great to talk to you, man.
Yeah.
Great.
All right.
Good luck with the show.
Thank you very much. This is the Blairing Out with Eric Blair show, signing off.
The Blairing Out Show.